Hi everyone, it's Margaret here with 60 and Me. You know, it's amazing how much you can learn from your grandkids and how I always get ideas after we have conversations about things that inspire me to talk to you about something related to our situation as older women. And yesterday I was chatting with Max about mythology, and he's very interested in history and, you know, the kinds of how things all came together, and it's been really interesting to relearn myself. But we're talking about mythology, and I have a picture of Lakshmi in my house, and it's a beautiful picture. I have a passion for India, as many of you know, and she was the goddess of, I don't know, sort of abundance and love, and just the imagery is so lovely. I was telling him the myth about, you know, different goddesses in certain religions, and it was just an interesting conversation. But anyway, we're talking about mythologies, and it made me think about these stories that make life make sense, right? And they just explain things that in those days, for example, when these myths were emerging, they just made it understandable how nature worked, how things work. Now we've, of course, got different scientific approaches, but it's still the same need. In fact, Carl Jung, a great writer, philosopher, psychology expert, wrote in one of his books was called Modern Man in Search of a Soul. And I think it was all about mythologies and, you know, the desire to tell stories that make our life makes sense. So I would like to talk about the myth of staying young. Long way to get to this topic, and why I'm talking about it, because I think it is a myth that has power, and it's not the myth of staying young as if it was a battle against aging, like, you know, like these are two opposing forces. It's not like the anti-aging, age-defying, you know, negative and you know, positive opposite of aging. It's just anti-aging. It's just really the whole idea that there's a myth that explains how we are transitioning into this older person, and there's a story that an alternative story that's crept in saying the myth really is you've got to stay young. Not the myth that you've got beauty and wisdom and, you know, not be ashamed of being older, but, you know, it's just that younger is the myth, that's the story to follow. That's the trail. Go down that one. Don't go down this one of the reality, because myths, in a way, you know, I don't think I've ever seen anybody on the street that looks like Lakshmi. I mean, it's like she's an image that represents values for me. There's other goddesses and gods and heroes that we celebrate. And by the way, this isn't a religious conversation. It's not like saying that, you know, Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever is a better religion. It's just that there's more imagery that I can call on. I just have that experience in my life, but I'm sure everybody has their own, you know, mythology that they follow. To deal with life, and it is, you know, it's certain stories that you didn't write that someone else did. So anyway, the mythology of thinking that you have to, you know, somehow push back and stay young. Why should we be ashamed of getting older? You know, I always talked about aging when I was working as currency. That when you're young, you have currency, and it's your beauty, it's your appeal, and it doesn't matter whether you believe this or not. It's just how it is, that people are drawn to individuals with charisma and the ability to explain and inspire, and it's got to do with youth. I mean, I know we live in a totally overwhelmingly direct to youth inspired culture. It's changing. It's definitely changing. But I think that if we accept that our culture only worships, you know, smooth skin and energy, fast energy, and good dancers, you know, none of us would have much, you know, sort of chance. I mean, it's just, if we believe that that's the myth, that only society only values youth and beauty and perfection, that it doesn't value the reality of your situation, which I think is totally, you know, interesting and fascinating to fight back on. So aging is not something to fix. We don't have to fix it. It's not something to make excuses for. Every wrinkle tells a story. I mean, I look at my hands sometimes and I think, oh my goodness, these hands have, you know, held children in my arms. They have carried groceries. They have lifted up boxes to move to better places for my, you know, my life. They have, you know, combed my hair, they've put on makeup, they've hugged people, they've loved people, you know, they've made people feel special. I mean, yeah, they're older hands. I'm sorry, I'm in peace with that. You know, the world needs more tenderness, not tighter skin. it doesn't need more, lack of wrinkles. It needs more character, more understanding, more compassion, more kindness. So the power comes from what you are inside and not from what you look like on the outside. The myth that somehow you have to look young in order to be valued, loved, appreciated. Let's shift the myth. Let's make a myth around the glorious aging process where you get to see your hands and what they've done, and your legs, how they've walked, how you've lived your life, how your heart has, just given people nourishment and calm and peace. You don't have to prove anything. Mythology is not about proof. If there was like a mythology of Hercules or one of the Greek gods, there's no proof that you can't look at it and say that myth is true. You just see it as a story and an allegory for the journey that they're leading you through. Like when you look at many of the Greek myths, they're all about life challenges and struggles and battles, battles between the elements. I'm even going back to like Zoroastrianism and some of the really ancient religions. You've got these battles between good and evil, way back before Christianity, before the religions that we associate today with the more accepted or common story. So let's change the narrative. Let's start with ourselves. We don't have to worry about the currency of aging anymore. We are adding the value in our actions, in our love, in our contribution that we make to the world. Stop chasing, in my opinion, stop chasing youth like it's a prize, like it's the golden egg that you find at the end of the journey, like that you dig and you find it and it's your treasure. It's not that. It's just like, let's celebrate the journey, the finding of the beautiful things in life, the beautiful experiences that give our lives meaning and substance. I'm rambling a little bit, but I guess I kind of get into this kind of conversation because I really truly do believe that aging is not something that we have to make an excuse for, that we have to feel embarrassed about, that beauty somehow is only measured by the least amount of wrinkles or the richest, fullest hair or or even an abundance of like money, for example. All those things are just not, for me, what matters about aging. As I knock things over on my desk, I'm so expressive that, it's how you carry yourself. It's how you feel. It's how you introduce yourself to the world. So don't be chasing this myth of youth, because that's not the direction. We're not going that way. Don't look back. We're going forward. And you don't have to stay young. You just have to stay honest, awake, truthful, curious, creative. Those are the things that I would like to focus on. How about you? Are you feeling a little bit like you need to let the myth of like anti-aging and be evolved into something more practical and realistic about where you are, how you feel? Because you don't feel that way, do you? You feel vibrant, you feel good, hopefully. If you don't, let's talk. Okay, that's what we're here for. So thank you for being here. I hope that you have a great day wherever you are in this beautiful world. Just go out and shine with your experience, your love, and your compassion for the world. And thank you for being here as part of 60 and Me. We're like 12 years old now, and I'm just so grateful for every single day that I've had to share with you, and to see you growing and moving into a happier, calmer, peaceful life as you get older, and not fighting these myths of, sustaining an image that's just not real. It's not. Be you, be real. Thanks everyone for being here. Please like our videos here if you can. Join our Patreon supporters group. I need you over there. We need some support since we don't charge for any content. We really do appreciate your contribution. Patreon. And then you get to do all kinds of fun stuff with us, trips, live events, discussion boards, all kinds of things. Check us out. Lots of love to all of you. Take good care. I love you. Bye.